What makes a dominant wrestling champion in the ring? It takes a special kind of athlete to survive the grueling knocks and bumps whilst navigating the wrestling road. In this list, we delve into the most dominant champions to ever exist. Wrestlers who carried the business on their backs, blazed trails into our hearts and the history books, and who held championships for extended periods of time. If you're a wrestling enthusiast, it's time to kick back and relax as Wrestle Savage presents to you our top 8 most dominant wrestling champions ever. Number 8. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing son of a gun. Woo! Ladies, none of you can be first, but all of you can be next. Woo! Do we need to say more? Woo! Of course we do, because diamonds are forever, and so is Ric Flair. The 16-time world champion held the NWA World Heavyweight Championship 8 times, the WCW World Heavyweight Championship 6 times, and the WWF World Heavyweight Championship 2 times. Although, the number of his world championship reigns varies by source, ranging from 16 to 25, the Nature Boy himself counts it as 21 reigns. However, in his combined reigns as World Heavyweight Champion for the NWA, WWF, and WCW, Ric Flair dominated the 80s and 90s. His longest reign was the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in 1984, which he held for 793 days. He lived the gimmick, he partied, he spent big money, he drew big money, inspiring pop culture almost as much as he inspired more wrestlers than you can slap a figure 4 leg lock on. Number 7. The immortal Hulk Hogan. What you gonna do, brother, when the largest arms in the world and the most dominant wrestler of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s comes crashing down on you? When it comes to wrestlers who seemed unbeatable, Hulk Hogan is the blueprint for the super beast that can't be defeated. His legendary championship accolades extend to the WWF Heavyweight Championship, which he won 6 times, the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, which he also won 6 times, and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship that he won at the inaugural IWGP tournament in 1983, becoming the first ever IWGP Heavyweight Champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Hulkster's longest and most dominant reign as champion lasted for 1,474 days, starting in 1984. Hogan's legacy as the ultimate icon in the world of wrestling is undeniable, and his dominance during the 80s for the WWF led to the biggest expansion in pro wrestling history, transforming wrestling into the pop culture phenomenon that it is today. Brother. Number 6. The Fabulous Moolah. Moolah is hands down one of the most dominant wrestlers ever. She first won the NWA Women's World Championship in 1956, and she was the most prominent holder of the title for the next 30 years. Moolah not only dominated the Women's Championship, but she also owned the rights to it, and in 1983, Vince McMahon bought those rights from her. Moolah then signed to the WWF, becoming the first ever WWF Women's Champion. Her longest reign as champion was for 10 years as the NWA Women's Champion. However, WWE considers it to be longer, an astonishing 28 years, as they don't recognize any title changes between 1956 and 1984. Moolah is also the oldest champion in the history of wrestling, winning the WWF Women's belt at 76 years old on the September 27th, 1999 episode of Raw. Moolah was famously involved in the notorious screwjob finish of November 25th, 1985 as the Spider Lady, defeating Wendy Richter under a mask for the title belt. Many people believe this was the original screwjob executed by Vince McMahon years before the infamous Montreal screwjob. Moolah will forever be known as a pioneer and trailblazer, and her contributions and dominance in wrestling will be forever remembered. Number 5. Lou Thesz. Considered to be one of the last true shooters in wrestling, Thesz is more than just a pioneer of pro wrestling. He is literally called the god of pro wrestling. As a 3-time NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, his total combined reigns amount to 10 years, with his longest undefeated reign lasting for an impressive 2,300 300 days, which is just over 6 years for those at home counting. Thesz wasn't just dominant, he was also known worldwide as a man who could snap every bone in your body if you pushed him the wrong way. His father was a national Greco-Roman wrestling middleweight champion in Hungary, and he started training Lou at the age of 8. By the age of 16, Thesz had won several amateur titles, becoming the most dominant freestyle wrestler in his weight class in America. Thesz turned pro wrestler at 17 after a year of training under some of the most dangerous shoot wrestlers in America, learning the catch style, which was also known as hooking. Thesz met and challenged the former world heavyweight champion and legendary promoter Ed Strangler Lewis in St. Louis and defeated him in under 16 minutes, impressing him so much that Lewis started training him. By 1937, Thesz was the biggest star in St. Louis, and at just 21, he became the AWA World Heavyweight Champion in a grueling 3-hour-long match that is widely considered to be a shoot. Thesz would become the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion in 1948 when the NWA was established. Scheduled to fight the first NWA champion, Orville Brown, in a unification match, Brown got into a car accident weeks before their bout, and the NWA awarded the title to Thesz. Between 1949 and 1956, Thesz set out to unify all the existing titles in the National Wrestling Alliance, dominating everyone and becoming the undisputed World's Heavyweight Champion of Wrestling. In 1957, Thesz became the first wrestler to defend the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship in Japan, wrestling Ricky Josian. Their first match, a 2 out of 3 falls match, notably started as a legitimate shoot fight, as Ricky Josian believed himself to be a far superior wrestler, until Thesz quickly dominated and easily beat him in the first round. Ricky Josian accepted the defeat and they worked the rest of the match. Thesz also established the NWA International Heavyweight Championship, a title that is still recognized as part of All Japan Pro Wrestling's Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. Thesz's undeniable dominance is that of legends, and his impact on the evolution of pro wrestling transformed it into the sport that it is today. Number 4. Vern Gagne. For 7 years, Vern Gagne held the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. Gagne gained notoriety in the pro wrestling world as the owner and promoter of the American Wrestling Association after a dispute with the NWA in the late 1950s. The dispute started after the NWA had blocked the request of promoters to put the belt on Vern Gagne. During this time, Lou Thesz had lost the title to Edouard Carpentier on June 14, 1957, but the NWA reversed the referee's decision, causing division within the NWA. Certain wrestling territories within the NWA refused to go along with the decision, recognizing Carpentier as champion. Carpentier lost his title to Gagne in August of 1958, and Gagne held this disputed version of the NWA World's Heavyweight title until the formation of the AWA in 1960. Gagne's early days as a successful amateur wrestler saw him capture 2 NCAA titles, and he was chosen for the US freestyle wrestling team at the 1948 Olympic Games. He later said that he was benched for the Olympics due to his coaches finding out that he had been earning money winning wrestling matches at the carnival as a pro wrestler. In 1950, Gagne captured the NWA Junior Heavyweight title, and in 1953 he won the NWA United States Championships, becoming one of the most well-known stars in wrestling during the golden age of television and magazine. His dominance in the ring made him a top drawing star, and Gagne became one of the most high-paid wrestlers of the 1950s, drawing huge crowds. Number 3. Bob Backlund. One of the last pure technical pro wrestlers, Bob Backlund began his career as an amateur wrestler in the late 1960s. In the 1970s, Backlund started working professionally for the American Wrestling Association before transitioning over to the National Wrestling Alliance, where he won the NWA Missouri Heavyweight Championship in 1976. The same year, he joined the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Backlund became a fan favorite as a dominant technical wrestler and a beloved mentor to the local amateur wrestling teams. In February 1978, Backlund defeated the legendary superstar Billy Graham for the WWF Heavyweight Championship, holding the title for 2,135 days until December 1983. 3 days after winning the Heavyweight Championship, Backlund wrestled the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion Harley Race in a rare WWF vs NWA title match. Both titles were on the line, and the pair fought to a 60-minute time limit draw. During his time as the WWF champion, Backlund famously fought the AWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Bockwinkel, and he wrestled two NWA World Heavyweight Champions, Harley Race 4 times and Ric Flair once. He even defeated the NWA Florida Heavyweight Champion Don Morocco. However, Backlund's long WWF reign is not without its controversy. He famously lost the title to Antonio Inoki on November 30th, 1979 in Japan. Inoki famously refused the title, declaring it vacant as he didn't want to lose to Bob Backlund. This reign is not recognized by the WWE in its WWF title history. Nevertheless, Backlund also won the WWF Heavyweight Championship in 1994 at Survivor Series, defeating Bret Hart. He played a crucial role in establishing the new generation era of the WWF as an old, out-of-touch and highly volatile veteran, hell-bent on teaching the younger wrestlers a lesson. Backlund's cross-face chicken wing and legendary technical wrestling skills made him a fierce and dominant World Heavyweight Champion. Number 2. Roman Reigns. A dominant champions list wouldn't be complete without acknowledging the tribal chief and head of the table, Roman Reigns. In an era where long-reigning champions are a thing of the past, Roman has achieved the unthinkable, holding the WWE Universal title for nearly 3 years. He won it at WWE Payback on August 30th, 2020 to become the champion. He added the WWE Championship on April 3rd, 2022 at WrestleMania 38 in a match against Brock Lesnar, becoming the undisputed Universal Champion. Roman's dominance over the WWE has been somewhat unconventional, as he was heavily pushed into the main event scene in 2014 under large criticism from fans and journalists alike. However, 10 years and 6 championship reigns later, with 4 WWE Championship reigns and 2 WWE Universal Championship reigns, Roman Reigns has won over the fans and critics alike. His unprecedented reign and incredibly well-booked Bloodline story arc have solidified his status as one of the top stars in the WWE. Roman could potentially surpass some of the longest reigns in the WWF and WWE history, cementing himself as one of the most dominant wrestlers of the modern era. Number 1. Bruno Sammartino. The longest reigning World Heavyweight Champion in the WWF at 2,803 days, an insane 7 years and 8 months. Bruno Sammartino dominated the wrestling world as one of the strongest pro wrestlers to ever lace up the boots. Sammartino's WWF Championship win happened in a 55-second match where he beat the reigning heavyweight champion Buddy Rogers for real in a screwjob that will forever be one of the most notorious stories in pro wrestling history. Legend has it that Bruno got in the ring with Rogers and he said, "I'm winning the title and we can do this the easy way or the hard way," before lifting him up into a backbreaker, causing Rogers to tap out in total fear. Rogers would later claim that he was suffering from a recent heart attack, although that has been debunked many times over. Sammartino wasn't just the most dominant wrestling champion of all time, he was also the sole reason the WWF survived and thrived. Winning the World Heavyweight Championship on May 17th, 1963, Bruno became the top star of New York, saving Vince McMahon Sr. from bankruptcy. He sold out shows and gained superstar status on a level no other wrestler had achieved in the WWF before. Bruno's second run as the WWF champion lasted from December 10th, 1973 to April 30th, 1977, a massive 1,237 days. It might have been longer had Sammartino not suffered a neck fracture in a match against Stan Hansen on April 26, 1976, when Hansen accidentally dropped Sammartino on his head. Sammartino only took 2 months off from this injury before he had a rematch against Hansen on June 25th, 1976. However, in early 1977, Sammartino told Vince Sr. he could no longer continue as a champion due to his surmounting injuries. Sammartino went on to have several big matches for the WWF and the NWA before retiring. His dominance inside the ring will never be forgotten, and his 7-year reign as World Heavyweight Champion may never ever be surpassed.